So in the novel of 1984, there's three superpowers. There's Oceania, East Asia, and Eurasia. Where they're located should be pretty obvious. But they're in perpetual war against one another, and sometimes two states are allied against one, and it changes on a weekly basis. And because the government's infallible, they have to basically change the past in real time. So when the alliances switch, they have to kind of rewrite history. And we see kind of a very damning example of this, where there's a big rally against Eurasia. They're at war with Eurasia. That's where the current global war is going on. And all the people are there in a patriotic fervor. And they're yelling about how we have to defeat Eurasia. They're talking about the virtues of sacrifice for nation. They all have anti-Eurasia armbands. They all have signs against Eurasia. And in the middle of the rally, the viewer screen switches from the Eurasia flag to the East Asia flag. And Big Brother proclaims, "We have always been at war with East Asia." And people look down and they see the signs and armbands, and they think that it's a trick by East Asia to divide them from their one true ally. Eurasia. And I think this is the perfect metaphor for the left in the 2016 presidential campaign with regards to international finance and the big banks. We have always been allied with the big banks. We've always supported the banksters. We've always supported global capitalism. And this was a very fascinating reversal. So for those of you who don't know, I went to school for political science. I also took something called global studies, which I thought was global studies, but was just Marxism. And basically, that was entirely about how globalization was evil, how big banks were evil, how international industry was evil. But once those various industries started to support Hillary, they suddenly became a good thing. I remember back when I used to listen to the Young Turks, one of the reasons I stopped listening to them was they were praising Obama because a lot of billionaires were supporting him, or they were saying liberalism's good because a lot of billionaire banksters like liberalism. I'm like, but aren't we supposed to hate that? And then we had the Occupy Wall Street movement, that was entirely about basically economic equality, about kind of exposing. It's kind of hard to describe. I'm not sure if there's a name for it. Basically, I think what Occupy Wall Street more than anything else was a frustration with kind of the voodoo the economic sector was doing. I mean, every society needs banks. For those of you who have taken basic economics, you know businesses need credit to run. Businesses need credit to, buy new machinery, open new stores, research new projects. And these projects they'll eventually make money off of, and they'll be able to pay their creditors back, but they need credit. And that's partially why banks exist, so that people can invest in businesses and businesses can have access to credit. That was the original purpose, and there's all kinds of other things, people lending each other money, etc. And every economy needs that. But what was happening, and I think what Occupy Wall Street was about, was you had a lot of stuff that wasn't really related to any of that. Probably the most notable example is currency speculation. Basically, you could have someone who, let's say the exchange rate between the Canadian and American dollar is, the Canadian dollar is 50 cents of the American dollar. Someone buys a ton of Canadian dollars, then the exchange rate goes to 1-to-1, and then the person converts them back, and they've doubled their money without actually producing anything or investing in a good or service. That's kind of one example. There's many examples of things that happen in finance that don't produce any actual value. And the fact that it doesn't produce any value shows when you look at the amount of assets that disappeared overnight when the financial crisis happened. So people were tired of that. People were tired of big money in government. People were tired of the banks basically paying off all the politicians each time. People feel that the financial crisis happened because all the politicians were corrupt, from Bill Clinton to George W. Bush, in that they all acted in the best interest of the big banks, the transnational corporations, etc. Ironically enough, I actually largely agree with them. But that's not what this video is about. This video is about the left had this massive movement against basically globalism and finance. They even coined the term the Bankersters, which, as I said, I actually agree with, ironically enough. But we had an election in which the banks favored one candidate over the other more than I think any other case in American history. In some cases, you had banks and hedge funds donating 1,000 to 1 in favor of a certain candidate. Now, interestingly, it was not the candidate who said that he would cut. Well, I guess you should know because I said he. It was not Donald Trump who said that he was going to massively cut corporate taxes. He was going to deregulate. America was going to be far more business friendly. They didn't back him, even though he would have made the money. No, they all pretty much backed Hillary Clinton, and not only the banks, but billionaires. People say, "Oh, Donald Trump is a billionaire; you can't trust him." Yes, but every other billionaire backed Hillary pretty much. You know the Koch brothers? You know the infamous Koch brothers who were obsessed, the left was obsessed with? Every 5 seconds, the Koch brothers, the Koch brothers, the Koch brothers win the country. They didn't endorse Donald Trump. They fought against him in the primary. They didn't give him any money, as far as I can determine. I found this hard. I did a little research. But, yeah, they decided to not give Trump money and to give money to Senate candidates. Some people thought they might have decided to endorse Gary Johnson, but I don't think they did. So the Koch brothers, the boogeyman, didn't like Trump. Ironically enough, I think it's that guy Zach Galifianakis, or whatever the hell his name is, said my political opinions are the exact opposite of the Koch brothers. So I guess he supports Donald Trump and is against gay marriage. Go figure. But let's look at an article Breitbart did, and this is from another source. So Democrats have spent years insisting there's too much money in politics and angling to impose heavy regulations on Wall Street investors and hedge funds managers. But a review of political donations by hedge fund donors find their big money has heavily favored Hillary Clinton over businessman Donald Trump. So this was back in the end of July, so obviously things changed between now and the election. But back in the day, let's see here. They gave Hillary Clinton $122 million, and Trump got from the same group of donors $19,000. I'm not going to do the math. You can do it if you want. I think that's 20,000 to 1. 10,000 to 1? Something like that. But, yeah. What can you say about that? Did you think that the banks really wanted someone to win? You think the banksters thought someone would have their back? It wasn't Mr. Trump. There's no indication that any of them wanted Mr. Trump to win. None of the people the left has demonized for the last, forever. When Marx was talking about capitalists and the capitalist banks and all that stuff, those guys all supported Hillary. So this was this obviously changed over time. Let's see, the hedge fund sector is more than twice. Let's see here. So Hillary Clinton has received twice as much money from the financial sector as Obama did in 2012. And at this point in time, 15% of all the money she received is from a small group of hedge fund guys. The top 5 donors were owners or employees of investment firms, and 7 of those biggest firms in America gave her $50 million. Does this sound like a candidate who's going to take on Wall Street? No, I mean, obviously we're speaking in the past tense. But it's just, I think, one of my most interesting reflections on this was how up until the very end, even everyone was just, the left was just like, the banks, we love the banks, we've always loved the banks, we've always loved international finance, we've never criticized any of this before, never. So the massive donations to Team Hillary, yeah, she will get money out of politics and pass a constitutional amendment to overturn Citizens United. And she made $21 million in closed-door speeches to big banks, hedge fund companies, investment firms. Now, for those of you who don't know, the speeches are a form of kickbacks. I mean, to a certain extent, like, would most people, like, even if you don't like Stephen Harper, if he was given a speech, someone, you or I, we'd probably pay some money to go see that, because he's a famous person. It'd be interesting to see him in person. Someone might even if they don't like her, pay money to go see Hillary because she's Hillary Clinton. She's famous. So I mean that makes sense there, but at the same time, what it often is, and when it's this degree, they pay the politician to do speeches. They pay them an excessive amount of money. I don't know, maybe a reasonable speaking fee would be like, I don't know, 1 to 10 grand or something. Because you have to pay them to fly in, you have to pay for their lodging, you have to make it worth their while, etc., etc. But instead they'll charge like $500,000. And that's legal because that's a payment for a service. And then when they're in government, they'll do favors, or they'll pay them for speeches when they leave government. And it's kind of part of the corrupt way they do it all. So Hillary Clinton made $21 million in basically kickbacks. This is her personal money. This isn't even her campaign money for favors she apparently did. And then this was back in August. So we determined that the numbers are not exactly correct. Some people... a different version of the same study said that Trump received, $2,000 and Hillary had received $25 million. So, yeah, so, that's, there's variant, there's variant versions of this, but all of them point to Hillary. We'll get to TPP in a second. So we have more billionaires are donating to Hillary than Donald Trump. So we have such men's of the people as Mark Cuban, Michael Bloomberg, Meg Whitman, Warren Buffett are all giving money. 17 people on its billionaires index donated $21 million to Hillary Clinton, whereas Donald Trump received $1 million from 12 billionaire donors. So Hillary Clinton, let's see here, received 21 times as much money from billionaires as Donald Trump did. You may say, well, Trump's a billionaire. Trump is not that wealthy compared to a lot of people, and most of his money is wound up in real estate investments. Hillary Clinton has a ton of money. And she got money from George Soros, who's an international banker. And back at this time, David and Charles Koch refused to give Donald Trump any money. Once again, the evil Koch brothers. Let's see here. Hillary Clinton is outraising Trump 20-1 among billionaires. So yeah, so the billionaires overwhelmingly supported them. So this is Clinton's billionaire backers. We have lots of upstanding people here, lots of members of the big banks. Let's see here. Her top publicly disclosed donor gave $500,000 to Hillary Clinton, and his daughter gave $25,000 to Trump. So yeah, that's isn't that great? So yeah, there hasn't been many people who gave Trump any money. Some of the people who gave him money gave him like $2,000 compared to some of the people who gave Hillary more money. So that's wins again. And let's look at TPP. Let's see. Hopefully this will run. This is what Hillary had to say about TPP. Okay, so let's see here. So Hillary Clinton is saying that whatchamacallit is really good. That the TPP is great. And then when Bernie Sanders and Trump came out against it, suddenly she was against it. But then she was kind of for it again, and her supporters were like, yes, we want free trade. We want a global free trade agreement. We didn't just spend the last 30 years criticizing NAFTA. I remember even when I was taking classes in university, they were saying how NAFTA was like an evil racist treaty. But now NAFTA's great because Trump was against NAFTA, but Hillary was for NAFTA, but sort of, but not really. So Hillary Clinton was for TPP. Then she was against it. Then she was kind of for it. I don't know. It's very difficult to determine. Hillary Clinton's stand on NAFTA and TPP. It's complicated and it's evolving. We've always favored global economic globalization. We've always favored transnational companies. We've always been in favor of Wall Street and the big banks. So I mean, like, that's great. Like, look at all these. Here's some more donors: J.P. Morgan Chase, Citigroup, Goldman Sachs, Morgan Stanley. Why does Harvard University donate? You guys want to... That is the biggest fucking scam I've ever seen. Universities giving money to a political candidate. That's where your taxpayers' money's going. Let's see here. What a piece of garbage she is. Hedge funds. Yep, some more hedge funds giving money to Hillary. Wow, it's... And these are from all kinds of different sources. This one's funny because this is from Salon. Let's see here. Many of the billionaires who supported Rubio and Bush now support Hillary. Wasn't that the criticism of Jeb Bush from the left, that he was a corporate shill? And so the people who made him a corporate shill gave Hillary money, but that was okay. Yeah, so it's just back in... How long ago was this? This was back in May. And this is Salon. This is like one of the most left-wing newspapers on the internet. This was back in the day. This was back, I think, I forget if Hillary had won back then or not. Wallstreet raised $23 million. Wallstreet raised $350,000 for Hillary, more than all other candidates combined. Hillary received 53% of donations from Wallstreet in March. In 2015, roughly 1/3 of all donations they made went to Hillary. So yeah, that is the truth. We've always supported big finance. We've always supported international globalization. And I think that's something we can all take to the bank. This is Argent, signing out.